Tonight, we take on a topic raising issues and eyebrows: medicinal marijuana. More than one poll shows an overwhelming majority of this state would vote yes on a ballot initiative to make medicinal marijuana legal for medical use by a doctor's prescription. So would the change hurt or help our state? Coming up, you'll hear from both sides, of course, but we're also going to take a look at how medicinal marijuana could help or hurt Florida's economy, because this is our issue, Tampa Bay. Hello, I'm your host, Jen Holloway. We begin our show with a representative from Save Our Society. It's a group dedicated to promoting effective, sound drug policies, education, and prevention. Calvina Fay is the executive director. She joins us now. Thank you for being here. It's been proven that medical marijuana does have benefits for some patients. Why is your group opposed?
Well, we don't deny that marijuana has a compound in it that has been shown to have medicinal benefit. That's the THC, the stuff that gets you high. And it's actually been isolated and synthesized, and we have a drug called Medicinal that's FDA approved that is THC. So we don't have a problem with that. That's the way medicine gets developed frequently from natural products. It's the other stuff in marijuana we have a problem with, because there are hundreds of compounds, many of which are very harmful and some of which are cancer causing. And additionally, you don't typically deliver medicine by smoking, so we're very concerned about that, because smoking is smoking. Okay. So we support research, we support legitimate use of the compounds that can be shown to be medicinal, such as the THC, but not a crude weed that's smoked, because that's harmful. Okay.
Mr. Morgan is obviously a very strong proponent for this, and he's indicated that it will be extremely restrictive if indeed this is all passed through our state, so not just anyone can walk in and get a card. Do you agree with his assessment that it will be extremely restrictive?
Absolutely not. He's being very dishonest with the public about that. If you read the language of the initiative, it's wide open. It's probably, and we're a national organization, so of course we've looked at all the initiatives that have passed through the state, different states. And the one that's proposed here in Florida is probably the most liberal of all. It would really literally allow pretty much anybody to smoke marijuana, because it has a clause in there that says or any other condition that might benefit, and that's really anything. We're opposing, whether you think marijuana is medicine or not, we think this initiative is very bad. We're opposing it because it's very misleading. It starts off with language that says it's to treat certain debilitating conditions. And yet if you read the text of it, it allows any condition, although the summary says certain debilitating diseases. So pretty much anybody could be using it, and that's what we've seen in other states, is when it's got that language in there, pretty much anybody uses for anything.
So if the language were to be changed and it would become very restrictive and the most conservative of all the states, would your group be more proposed? Would you support it?
That's an interesting question, and you know, my response to it is, if that's really what this was about, if Mr. Morgan and his team really cared about sick people that were really in very debilitating situations, then he would have proposed an initiative that was very tightly written and very restrictive. But what he's proposed is not that. What he's offering the voters here in Florida is a wide open, everybody can use for any condition, and it will be abused. I mean, look at the states that have passed these already, where over 90% of the people are treating a condition in the category of pain. And I'm not saying that pain is not a bad thing. I mean, I suffer myself from chronic pain, and I can tell you I have some bad days. But we also have documented a number of people that are treating backaches, headaches, menstrual cramps, you know, insignificant pains, over 90%. Not the people that are suffering from ALS, a cancer, you know, this more serious diseases. Exactly. Right. And the other thing that we've been able to document is that the average user is well under 50 years old. These are not elderly people who've exhausted all means for treating, you know, really serious end-of-life conditions. The average person is male, he's in his 30s and 40s, and he's treating pain. What does that tell you? It's being abused, and the way this is written, like I said, whether a person believes marijuana is medicine or not is really not the issue. This initiative is wide open. It's not about medicine. It's about legalization, normalization, and commercialization of marijuana, because it doesn't just call for legalizing the use of it. It calls for having it legal to cultivate it, to traffic it, to sell it, to commercialize it, to promote its use, and that would be very bad for our state.
Okay. Despite the millions of dollars that it could potentially bring, you still think that's bad for our state?
Well, you know, you can legalize prostitution and make money. You can legalize a lot of really bad things and bring money into the state.
Okay.
I'm not sure that
that's
what we want to do.
Okay.
And then you have to look at the flip side, because what we're seeing in other states are some significant increases in societal costs. We're seeing, I mean, the report just came out this week in Washington, where they've had a 50% increase in the number of impaired drivers due to marijuana use since they have legalized marijuana out there. We had another report that came out this week from Oregon, where the so-called medical marijuana is being diverted. They busted a big ring out there that was providing this so-called medical marijuana to high school kids who were taking it and selling it in the high school to children. So, you know, there's a price on the other side of that too. And there's a big question right now. You know, it was studied by people much smarter than me on the economy and the way in which we can tax things and not tax things in this state. And there's still a big question about whether they could tax marijuana if it's legalized as a medicine, because we don't typically tax medicine. So they're still, you know, wading through that issue as to whether or not it's taxable.
Okay. Some say Mr. Morgan says he is doing this for personal reasons, his brother and his father, and what he's seen them go through. Many say he's doing it for political reasons. What does your group say?
Well, I'm not a political creature, so I'm not a real good person to judge that. What we do know, though, is that Mr. Morgan likes to party. He brags about that in his public interviews. We know from public record that he's been arrested a few times for DUI. But we also know that he's a big supporter of the Democrat Party, and we know he's a big fan of Charlie Crist. So if it is politically motivated, all I can say is shame on him, because this is, you know, this is about people's lives. If this thing passes, it is so bad that it will put Floridians' health and safety at risk. So shame on him if he's using politics to push something through that would be really bad for our state.
Okay. Your group is, as you said, nationwide?
Correct.
And very large here in Florida?
We're based right here in Florida, that's correct.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, your knowledge. You are very knowledgeable on this subject, and we appreciate your time and expertise.
It's my pleasure, and it's Save Our Society from Drugs. It's www.saveoursociety.org if anyone wants more information.
Okay, we'll be sure and put that on our website and also at the end of the show.
Great.
Thank you for your time. Thanks. Appreciate your thoughts. We'll be right back after this.